Hi, my name's Adam Nigel Patchett. I'm the founder of Mechanicism. A religion, what's the first thing we believe? We believe in one supreme deity, God, like a lot of religions do. But how that plays out is completely different than everyone else. We don't do the same things as everyone else. We don't see the same way as everyone else. We're unique. We're upgraded. We are a modern yet ancient perspective here. So there's other deities beneath God. They are colors, right? So God, her color, she, yes, you could say she or he. I am is also her name. I am black is the color black. That's the holy color. That's the most holy color, and it's the root of all consciousness. At the root of all consciousness is a black screen, like your television monitor, like your computer monitor, like your laptop, like your tablet, like your phone, a black screen. And then the colors light up and go over that, right? So they are woven through all existence and all creation, and they feel and think and see everything. God is above them, controlling what they see and when they see it, and all sorts of things like that. So, talking about the other deities is not what we're going to be doing because it's not relevant. They are not that powerful. They can't do anything outside of being under control by God. So, they are also known as the archangels. They can see everything, like I said, but once again, not relevant. God can see all things at once simultaneously. So, big question in Mechanicism, who created God? God has no creator. God just exists, always has. So God is self-created. No, God just exists, always has. That's how Mechanicism sees. Always has existed and always will exist. And within her are all other entities, and you exist within her forever. You always have existed. There's never a time where you didn't exist. You may be thinking, but something must have a beginning, something must have an end. No, God is inherently magical, so the rules of science do not apply here anymore. At the root of everything, God just is, and we just are. That's what Mechanicism teaches. So, quick explanation. Where we are is a universe that tests you, that your machine goes through, and you think you have free will, but you don't. Mechanicism does not believe in free will. We don't believe in free will. We see it as God is in complete control of everything, and no matter what decision you make, that's exactly the decision that God needed you to make. That happens in all existence. She is in complete control. He is in complete control. Does that mean he is responsible? Mechanicism doesn't look at blame and punishment. We look at responses. You do something good, there's a response to that. You do something evil, there's a response to that. And then you'd say, but God's in control, so that's who's responsible. Your machine did that, thus your machine has to go through something. It's mechanical, it's not personal. Some of you would be like, so does that mean like I'm a personal punching bag of God? Nobody is a personal punching bag of God forever. Some people have that, they need that, that's what they go through. And that's the key word, need. We need this place to recharge our batteries for our home. Our home is where we come from and where we all must go no matter what. Which means that this place, Mechanicism teaches, needs to be destroyed. So, Mechanicism teaches that God does both good and evil, needs all things that have happened. So people will be like, so you're telling me like pedophilia and child sacrifice and things like that are needed? Yeah, don't confuse that with wanted, and don't confuse that in a way you think that that's a good thing to be doing for you and your prospects. In ancient time, the idea was that you sacrifice something that means a lot to you, that is very innocent and pure, and the gods are in favor of you and give you clean crops and good weather and all those things, right? But that stopped happening eventually, mostly because of Christ. That's how Mechanicism sees. So does Mechanicism deny Jesus Christ? We deny the Holy Trinity. We say that that's not how the mechanics are designed. That's not how the universe functions. That's not how all existence functions, right? we deny that there is only one Son of God. We don't accept that. We see as there are sons and daughters of God who are important players in the game, and they do lots of stuff, but they are not one and only or anything like that. So ultimately, do we deny Christianity? Yes, we do, yeah. But we also deny Islam. We see all the things about it that are true, and we accept that. But we also say that ultimately Islam is wrong. We say that Judaism ultimately is wrong. Hinduism ultimately is wrong. Buddhism wrong, etc., etc., etc. All ancient religions and modern religions wrong. The correct religion is Mechanicism to the best of our ability. We are trying to get as close to the truth as possible, no matter what. So, back to what I was saying about child sacrifices. You don't want to do anything like that now that you're aware of how bad that is. But it was part of the story. So have secret societies traditionally taken children and throw them in the fire? Yes, they have, right? That's happened in history, which is very sad and very unfortunate. The way they saw it was, yeah, but the kid's going to go through the fire and then come out the other end with God and go along the journey and they'll be fine, right? If you do that in this day and age, if you sacrifice children, if you do pedophilia, if you do things like that, there is a complicated response package that you get from the underworld. That's the thing. Mechanicism believes in the underworld, which is a complicated storyline, and you get involved in it, and you have to play a character in it, and you have to do things at times that you really don't want to do. You don't want to be anything like that. But if you do those things, you will do it. And some of them are things like skinning machines, being eaten through your intestines by demons. Like, you don't want to be sacrificing children or anything like that, or doing anything evil, right? Doing evil in this place brings a complicated response package in the underworld. Why do I say response package? Because it's not punishment. It's not, that's the wrong way of looking at it. It's just you do something, there's a response to it, right? You do this, there's a response. You do that, there's a response. And that's all it is, right? So evil is something that eats itself, right? Who is the master of evil? God, right? Who is the master of righteousness? God. Who is the master of humor or sex? God is the master of all those things, right? So there is a time where God will be evil and do evil things because she needs that. He needs that. Doesn't want it, just needs it. And what does evil think of people who love being evil? It gets jealous of it. It thinks, if I was any less than powerful than I was, you would eat me, and I don't like that. I'm going to destroy you. That's how God does it, right? The other way you create a villain is somebody who goes through lots of pain and suffering. It's a great example is Unbreakable with Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, where Samuel L. Jackson goes through being made fun of and breaking bones everywhere, and he becomes a villain. That's another way you create a villain in the underworld, but they have different rules and laws around them because they didn't. It's not like, this is where it differs from the character in Unbreakable. Somebody who goes through life hating everyone because they did stuff, because those people did things to them, and they become sick and ill, and they have to think all the time about all the people who made fun of them and all these terrible thoughts that they go through. God gives them an option when they come out. You can be evil if you want. You can be a villain and turn on these people in the underworld, right? So that's another reason why you don't want to be involved with making fun of people systematically, all those sorts of things. You want to be as good and right as you possibly can. Right is how this place is designed. Right means that sometimes you have to go to war, right, to defend your country, to do things like that. That's right, that you have to do that. So the answer to your question, like, what about the Twin Towers and people jumping out? How does God justify that? Because in the atheist perspective, atheism sees that if there are all these bad things in the world, how would a good God allow this to happen, right? And they see the only explanation is that there is no God, right? These things just happen. They're awful. We have to try and stop them to the best of our ability, but we can't really stop all of it because evil is here and there's nothing we can do about it, but it's just natural. It's the natural world. That's all it is. We are just flesh and blood walking around, and one day we die and it's over. And Mechanicism, of course, does not teach that. It teaches that no, you go through life collecting deeds, collecting decisions, all sorts of things, and that determines what happens to you after. Now, here's the good thing. The way this place was laid out, most people, most, if not, I'm talking billions and billions and billions of people, do not go to the underworld for any other reason than to watch it. They don't get hurt. They just watch what's going on. They see what's going on. It's a big storyline. It's very interesting. It's very entertaining. They watch it, right? Most people are good. They're fine. They're not going to be tortured after death. They're not going to hell, right? But then there's a lot of people who need to go down to the underworld because it's part of what their soul does. It goes down there to help people, to achieve things, to become greater, and to build a status. This is all about building energy and reputation for paradise, where we come from. That's the other good thing. We spend the massive majority of our existence in a beautiful multiverse that's very complicated and it's lots of storyline, but it's all just love and wonder and beauty and everything that you've ever wanted it to be. And that's where we all have to go back to. But before we can go back to that place, this multiverse must be solved that we're in. We're in a multiverse, and that's connected to our old multiverse that we go back to, right? So in this place, we have to solve all the problems, and it all has to be worked out. This place has to be destroyed one day, so Armageddon is ultimately inevitable, but you do not want to be responsible for Armageddon. You want to leave that to our holy God to do Armageddon. She can do that without anybody's help. She can destroy this place without anybody's help. Her sigil is the sun, and that is the root of all destructive power if she needs it to be, where she can just scorch the earth and everyone dies and it's over, right? She can do that when it's time, when she needs it, if she needs it. Am I saying that's how it will be done? No. I'm saying that that's her power, right? She can do that. Is God all-powerful? Incorrect. God is limited based on who she is. She cannot be a man or a woman. She cannot be a humanoid. She's above on a higher plane of existence as this massive, massive, massive machine that sees all, speaks to everyone simultaneously as if she's having private conversations with them, which she is, but it's very complicated. Ultimately, you can't comprehend God. That's one of the critical things we talk about. You can't comprehend God because she's on a higher plane of existence that's above us. That's the only thing you can comprehend, is the fact that it's incomprehensible, which is an interesting flow, right? It's an interesting spin. But God is ultimately in control, of, like we said, of all these different things, right? What do we think of angels? Single units, right? You have to understand that those above us can operate vehicles down here from above remotely. So they can speak out of it, they can get the body to do this, to do that, and they can give them their magic, which allows them to do what all these sorts of things. So those would technically be the gods and goddesses, those machines that you see moving around, right? There's also us who are given their magic at times. There are prophets who are given magic to work with. And they are ultimately not on our level, right? They are above us. God is above us. So that means that if God runs a machine down here, she can speak out of it. She can even say, or he can even say, I am the Lord, and everyone worships the machine. But the bigger version of herself goes, yeah, but I don't want that machine forever. I'm going to destroy it. So she can't be a man. That's one of the limits, though. She cannot just stop being God. She has to be God. He has to be God no matter what. I am has to be God. There can't be any other way around that. So the basics of mechanicism are, how do we see? We're like, You do as right as you can, be as right as you can. If you want to be a villain in the underworld, then want that. But don't do any evil in this place, because that will protect you. You'll be able to play the game and be somebody you want to be, not somebody you don't want to be, right? At the same time, people who have done evil still get things they want in the underworld. That's a very important critical thing. It's not just you break the laws and you're a torture victim. It doesn't work that way. It is a complicated response package, like I said. Mechanicism.com is where I store all the information you need to learn about all this stuff. And it's very important. It's very critical. Once again, we are not Christians. We do not see the same way as Christians. Not even Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't see the same way, right? We do recognize the power of Islam, the power of Christianity, the power of Judaism, the power of Hinduism and Buddhism, and all the other religions. We recognize that, and we respect that, and we're not trying to get rid of religion. A Mechite, that's what we're called, Mechites. Mechites aren't going to be trying to go around the world destroying religion. All we have to do is hand out pamphlets on the street and show people the truth. That's it. That's all we have to do. We don't go door to door to interrupt people's breakfast or lunch or dinner. We don't bother people. We just say, this is what it is. This is the place you're living in, right? So we're not interested in destroying or burning down books of Quran, Bibles, and stuff like that. We want to leave them alone. We were like, no, we don't touch them. We just allow you to see them and do what you want, right? Do what you need. We warn you, though, that, attacking us is not what you want to be doing. But do we want to deal in violence? No, we don't deal in violence. We just go, no. All we have to do is teach the truth, and that's it. That's all we have to do. The other thing Mechanicism teaches is that there's only one of you. There's only one of you, right? There is not an infinite amount of universes with an infinite amount of yous doing different things simultaneously at the same time. That doesn't exist. There is one of you, and you love being yourself. Some people in this world would go, I don't like being me. Yeah, right now you're in a character that represents who you really are in the context of this place, right? Once you're out, you're your real you, and you want that. Everyone wants to be themselves. They don't want to be somebody else. They have their own private, beautiful, wonderful, sad, horrifying, positive, good experience, right? They have their own destiny. And that's a very important thing to realize. Once you're back in paradise, you don't want to be anybody but you. You want to be yourself, and you always want that. You always want to keep that because it's exactly who you want to be, right? Mechanicism is about understanding that what this place has done to you is made you think in crooked ways and made you see things. And some people have gone through pain and suffering where they're like, I don't want to do this ever again. Remember that you go back home for such a long time that you don't care. You really don't care. You're like, okay, it's different. It's over now. I don't have to deal with this nonsense for a very long time. I'm not going to do it. But that's something that a lot of people have a hard time digesting. Why? Because you're young. You're young in spirit, not in spirit. You're young in your thinking about things. You have to go through emotions, realizing that we repeat this place again and again and again. That tells people something they don't want. They go, I don't want that. I don't want to be this again. Yeah, but at the same time, you're not going to be this forever. Most of the time, you're the real you, and that's who you want to be, right? That's always who you want to be. You always want to be the real you. So, you would say things like, I can't handle this again, but you don't know. You wouldn't know until now. Now you realize that, and it's hard, and you think, how do I progress? You will. You'll get through it. You'll go through this and come out and go, yeah, no, it's fine, I guess. I mean, I get mostly what I want all the time for a very long time. People would ask how long. I don't know. I haven't been told. I haven't been told how long we go to paradise for, but it's a very long time. That's what I've been told. Just a very long time. So, this idea that you have about God being only righteous and no evil and there's no darkness, That's not reflective of the world we live in. If you read world history, you know that people have died in the most terrible ways. There have been mass slaughters in the most horrifying way. Rwanda. There's been the burning of Japanese children alive from airplanes dropping firebombs on them. You've had nuclear disasters. You've had Hiroshima, Nagasaki. You've had World War II, all in it, all the whole World War II, just this massive, horrifying nightmare, right? So the only way to explain those things spiritually is that they're needed. We need to go through this, and then we realize, okay, we don't want to do this to each other anymore because this battle that we have, this experience that we have will continue on into a magical universe known as the underworld. Right? This is a multiverse. The underworld is a universe, and there's billions of other universes connected for storyline, and it takes a very long time to work it all out, right? So, the other thing Mechanicism teaches is Hollywood. These films that you're watching that you feel them, you feel those energies, and how you can feel the different unique signatures to every film. That's because these are universes that you're connecting with, and it's all real. These beautiful places and horrible places, and all these things are real. And Hollywood is a way of downloading from the multiverse very real places for your soul to say, I want to see that, or I want to be part of that, or I want to, there's something about it that I want or need, right? So there's horror movies that are real. There's beautiful movies that are totally real. There's all these different movies. And a lot of it is revolving around righteousness. And sometimes there's evil places, but for the most part, it's revolving around righteousness. Am I saying that Star Wars is a real place? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what Mechanicism teaches, is that Star Wars is real, right? Star Trek is real. These are space ones. House of a Thousand Corpses is real. And then you have Bambi is real. How does that work? Cartoons. Your soul can see a cartoon and be that. People will be like, you're a bullshitter. No, I'm not. I'm telling you what I've seen. Your soul can connect to a cartoon and be that and go through that, right? So all these things that you've ever watched, Japanese anime, music, all the music industry has realms that they play through, and then they play through movies, and they do all these different things. You feel the music through your soul. You watch the different artists through their realms, right? So they're all like that. All Hollywood, all famous people have their own realms to work with that everyone can go in and see. Everyone who is involved can go in and see and watch or be a part of, all sorts of things, right? So Mechanicism goes pretty crazy when it talks about that, right?